Chairman, as I want to speak in strong support of this amendment. As I listen to this debate, it's just hard to imagine the chasm in the perception of each side here. It is a fascinating thing. You know, I believe that the fundamental difference between conservatives and liberals is that conservatives want people to be able to make their own choices and live by those choices. And liberals feel like that people can't do that on their own, that the government needs to tell people what to do and provide for them, and that if they don't do that, that people will fail. They don't have faith in the American people. I have fought since I have been in Congress to try to make our country competitive in the world. Didn't make a whole lot of progress when President Obama was in the White House. I actually went to President Obama's White House and tried to talk them into doing a joint symposium on American competitiveness with Republican leaders, and they weren't interested. But when President Trump got here, because see, I always knew, I had faith in the American worker. I knew that if we made our economy, the structure of it competitive, American workers could compete with anyone. Washington was what was standing in the way. And so, under the Trump administration with Republicans in Congress, we did the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we did trade adjustment, we lowered regulation, and look at the result. Unemployment went to record lows, lows not seen in 50 years. Mr. Barthold, has the unemployment rate for African Americans ever been lower than it was in 2019?
Yes, it was. Yep.
Mr. Rice, I'll have to verify that.
The answer is no. Was the unemployment rate for Hispanics ever lower in this country than it was in 2019, a year and a half after the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act?
I believe that is the case, but I will verify those.
And women, do you know that, Mr. Barthold? And women. The unemployment rate for women, didn't it go as low as it's ever been in recorded history in the United States? Isn't that true?
I think that's so, but I will verify that.
And wages, Mr. Barthold, what was the average wage increase, annual wage increase in 2019?
I'll have to respond to the committee.
It was over 3%, wasn't it?
I don't know, Mr.
It was, sir, and it hadn't been that way in 30 years. In 30 years, wages were going up. You say that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act caused income inequality. In fact, wages for the first time in decades were up 3.3%, and would have kept going if it hadn't been for the coronavirus. Poverty. Mr. Barthold, do you know the level of poverty in 2019 and how it related to history in the United States?
Again, Mr. Rice, I'll provide.
Thank you, sir. I always enjoy talking to you. You really are. I really appreciate you. But I can tell you, poverty hit a record low in the United States in 2019, just over a year after the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I don't know what facts you're citing. I don't know, it must be some liberal whatever. But that's the truth. Look at the Fed numbers. It's the truth. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act lifted people from the bottom to the top. Marion County, South Carolina, one of the poorest in the state. I represent it. 57% African American. When I took office in 2013, after 4 years of the Obama-Biden administration, the unemployment rate in Marion County was 16.6%. In 2019, a year and a half after the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it was 3.8%. There is nothing that I have done in Congress that I am any more proud of than that. Now, you guys come with this bill. And you know, I mean, you got to know, unless you have total blinders on, you know raising the corporate tax rate. You know adding all these regulations and giveaway programs that make it harder to hire people. You know that's going to make us less competitive, and you know it will cost millions of American jobs. You know it will. I mean, I'm sure you can find some expert who, you know, you pay him a retainer and he'll tell you different. but you know it'll cost millions of American jobs, and you proceed with this in the face of it, knowing that we had record low unemployment, record low poverty, wages rising, and you're going to kill it. And you say you represent the little guy. Shame on you. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman.